the 126 years of the GA, these two counties have never played each other in championship football. At the end of the rainbow, it is a chance for Down and Kildare to play in the All-Ireland final. For Pat McEnany, he's also been in the All-Ireland final 4 times. 26 years, an inter-county referee. He started at 23. Away we go. Is it going to be Down? Is it going to be Kildare? Facing Cork in the All-Ireland final on the September 19th, 2010. Marty Clark gets the first touch, but he was fouling, and that's going to be a free for Kildare.
And he seemed to be using his advantage in physical power. To me, held off the Kildare defender, but ref saw it otherwise.
Alan Smith, diagonal ball over towards Hugh Lynch. Back to the midfielder. What a start it would be for him if he can score here. He's driven it wide. Missed opportunity for Kildare. Down will be playing with a fairly strong breeze in the first half, judging by the flags down on the pitch. Brendan McVeigh from Kilkeel and South Down, fishing port, takes his first kick out in this All-Ireland semi-final. Straight down the middle. Bit of a tussle, a little bit of a struggle there in the middle of the field. While Down might have won possession cleanly through Peter Fitzpatrick, it was Kildare that got the initiative. Over first Porrick O'Neill, dropping this in, and that's the second wide for the Lily Whites. It's going to be a difficult day for forwards to score because of that very strong breeze. And remember, Kildare are playing against it in the opening 35 minutes.
Shooting from distance against the breeze, sometimes not overly encouraged. Should tell you that John Doyle and James Kavanagh are the two up. Then in the next two on the line, we have Porrick O'Neill, and essentially beside him then Alan Smith, and then the other guys are wandering around. That's the way they're shaping it up.
Loose ball picked up by Morgan O'Flaherty. Plenty of support players. One of them is his centre half back, Emmett Bolton. Eamon Callahan comes out around the middle of the field to gather possession. Owen O'Flaherty. Nice ball back from James Kavanagh. Kavanagh goes for the return pass. Well marshalled. Goes back for Eamon O'Callaghan. Has it again, thanks to a pass from Emmett Bolton. Going for the return. It's Callahan. Third attempt. Third wide. It looks. Not quite. It curled. That will settle Kildare. 3 attempts. 1 score. Eamon Callahan did an awful lot of work to produce this.
He certainly did. He was involved on the far side of the field when the play was developing. Lovely foot pass, ran straight then for the return, took it, hooked the ball, and I think that's what probably gave us the impression it was going right and wide, which you can see it comes in beautifully with the breeze.
Kick out by McVeigh. Darrell Flynn lets it go quickly, fires Alan Smith. Diagonal ball for James Kavanagh to keep in. The linesman
That ball never went.
flag.
That ball never went. Not a chance. We anticipated it going, I think.
And the sideline ball certainly wasn't taken from the right position. So now it's going to be a throw ball. So perhaps justice was done, Kevin.
Yeah, I think so, Artie. I'm pretty sure that ball never crossed the line in the first instance.
Pat McEnany says 2 players. Darrell Flynn knocks it down only to his opposite, number 8, Peter Fitzpatrick. Down. Begin to find their momentum here. Danny Hughes has been doing a Brian Dooher on it all through the championship campaign. Sometimes he's at corner forward, sometimes he's back at left half back, but certainly has a great engine. First free going to be taken by Marty Clark from the Unreact club. Centre half forward, of course, in the Down minor team that won the All-Ireland 5 years ago. He's still only 22, 23 in November. Clark with the free, it's curling well to the right and wide. Disappointment for Marty Clark. Shane McCormack from Allenwood. His manager is Sos Dowling, that played in the 1998 All-Ireland final. And still playing well, as we saw in Kildare yesterday. It's down with Mark Boland. Giving it into the centre to Kevin McKernan. Back to the centre half back. Just took his eye off it. Bit unlucky, he might get it back. He doesn't. Morgan O'Flaherty. Brian Flanagan from Johnstown Bridge. Laying it over for his own O'Flaherty. From a great club in Kildare called Carberry. Down for his James Kavanagh. Scored a great goal against Meath. Confronted this time by Daniel McCartan, the manager's brother. Still Kavanagh. Was he fouled? Referee says no. Play on Kildare. Alan Smith has a pop. The goalkeeper thinks it's wide, and the umpires agree. 3 wides for Kildare, just 1 point.
This is going to be a tight one. Looked over from there, Marty.
I have to say, I agree with you. It looks like a clear point.
Yeah, there's a lot of height on it. Sometimes it can confuse you. Umpires didn't have a great position. Of course, there was shot from close, and that always adds to the confusion.
And we have 2 referees as umpires down there, Joe McQuillan and Jimmy Gallagher, who refereed the Ulster Minor final this year between Tyrone and Armagh. So they should know about proper positions for umpires. Comes all the way down towards Paul McComiskey. Works very hard. Peter Kelly, there with him now. Who got the last touch? Linesman seemed to indicate down. Now he's changed his mind and he's given it to Kildare. Hugh McGrillen, Selbridge, going to take this. Brings his goalkeeper into play. It's very important for any keeper to get a first touch in the early stages.
New development this season, we've seen loads of that. One of them cost a goal, didn't it?
It did indeed. Race for possession for Pádraig O'Neill, getting there ahead of Declan Rooney. Nice ball inside for Emmett Bolton, who's gone into the attack. Steadying the ship. There were plenty of players available. He has the confidence to have a go himself, but you can see why he's playing as a centre-back. Not a scoring number 6, I'm afraid, Emmett. Not on this occasion.
He hasn't actually done badly in the championship for a centre-back, actually, Marty. I think that's why he fancied himself a bit, but I'd caution it at this stage against the wind from distance. Work a better position. We've spoken about this before.
Yeah, you have to give him credit, actually, Kevin, because he played cornerback against Louth, was moved to centre-back after that and has really settled well. Over Flaherty. Hugh Lynch giving it long, and it's a good ball down to the man who could score! James Kavanagh gets his first point in this All-Ireland semi-final. The long ball might just be the right option.
Yeah, well, when you have a guy like Kavanagh, as I said, he's playing 2 inside alongside Doyle. He's got the height advantage for sure on Daniel McCartan. He uses it, turns to his left and puts it over. For a moment there was a goal chance if he linked back up with Doyle or took it on himself.
Mark Boland down into second. Kevin McKernan coming from centre half back. Oh, he hits that sweetly right over the crossbar. Son of Brendan McKernan, who played right corner back in the 1991 team that won the All-Ireland. You can see it's in the genes, it's in the blood, as he hits this perfectly.
Beautiful point for sure. Lovely fast hands, recycling the ball quickly around the middle of the field. Kernan coming on at pace. Great score.
Just to note that it took 9 minutes for Down to score. Picked up here by Eamon Callaghan. Out for his Hugh Lynch. Back again for his Eamon Callaghan. Good combination football. Good defending, not quite. Just the challenge was an illegal one by Damien Rafferty. And that's going to be a free in for Kildare. But great combination football, no question.
Yeah, definite foul. Callan has opened well, getting his hands on a lot of ball. Pat McNinney right up on top of it.
Captain of Kildare, 32-year-old Johnny Doyle. First free is a simple top over for him.
It's a good start, Marty, for Kildare. No question about that. Down really haven't settled.
And if you recall, of course, the last time that Down played here against Kerry, they got the start that they required.
They're just a bit nervy looking to me. They're mishandling and fumbling a wee bit.
When I was talking to James McCartan earlier before the game, he was just worried, as all managers are, that the lads produce the performance that he knows that they're capable of. This is a good ball in, but Brendan McVeigh anticipated well. And he was exposed there. McVeigh is trying to encourage his players to find their rhythm, get cracking in this match. So far, they haven't produced it. Peter Fitzpatrick deputised for his captain as well in the Division 2 League final against Armagh. Did well. He's on the ball here. Goes long. Hugh McGrillen did well. Back there is Morgan O'Flaherty. Under pressure. Concedes possession, but wins the free. Hugh Lynch lays it off. And here come Kildare again. Ball given away though by Peter Kelly. Easily anticipated by Marty Clark. Danny Hughes gives it long. Clark gets the return eventually. Goes for a ball in, a dangerous ball, and it's in the nets. Benny Coulter gets the touch. And Pat McInerney will wonder what's going through my mind as well. Was it a square ball? The umpires are going to be consulted down at the canal end. Mark Gilson and Jimmy Finnegan are the umpires. They have no doubt apparently. And the goal will stand. Just watch this again. Coulter's clearly inside the small rectangle before the ball arrived. That is a square ball.
Certainly looks like it to me. No, I think that's pretty definitive. Had a great view of it. Even the referee came in, and they still gave it.
And that will give fire into the bellies of County Down. Danny Hughes lays it off first. Kevin McKernan on the turn. It's all about confidence. The centre half back scores his second point in this All-Ireland semi-final. It took 12-13 minutes for Down to settle. They got a lucky break with the goal, and Kevin McKernan, for the second time, scores a point.
And that's a brilliant score. That is a really, for a centre half back, loads of skill and a terrific shot on the move, and that's what the goal has given them now. Great injection. The confidence levels are back up.
Great catch in the middle of the field. Peter Fitzpatrick. He's the man that's replacing his captain, Ambrose Rogers, remember. Mark Poland tries to find out John Clark. Hugh McGrillen with him. Mark puts a foot in it, but the referee, I think, is going to give a throw ball here. Try and sort out that particular sequence. On the 20-metre line. Benny Coulter, Hugh Flynn. Back outside, there's Danny Hughes.
Some of the Kildare tackling early on is very aggressive, and we're referencing last week's match where Dublin just crossed that line. There was a tackle down in the left corner just a few minutes ago, way over the top tackling, I would call it, and conceding unnecessary frees and opportunities.
This is Mark Poland. Scored 1-2 against Kerry. That early goal was vital. And this is his first point here. Well, football is a strange game because traditionally over this championship season, Kildare have been very slow to settle. They get a good start. In fact, Down really not in it for the first 12 minutes, and then they get a goal.
These are the small calls that separate these elite type of games, and there'll be a lot of discussion about that one in particular. Certainly looked like a square ball, as they say.
Peter Fitzpatrick coming through the centre, playing with great confidence. And that one is wide. Second wide of the match for Down. Kildare, by the way, have registered 4. Emmett Bolton just seems to be a little bit weary, a little bit groggy, but he's okay. Referee Pat McEnany was just checking on him. Shane McCormick with the kick out. Peter Fitzpatrick is beginning to impose himself after Kildare got an early grip in the centre of the field. Hugh Flynn lays it off. Fires more Eamon Callaghan. Gives it back. Fires Owen O'Flaherty. Looking for James Kavanagh inside. Good work by O'Flaherty. Runs out of space. Plenty of players available. Alan Smith feeds Hugh Flynn. That's a good ball, actually. There's a chance of a score. Onto the left boot and over the ball. Right half back Morgan O'Flaherty joins the attack to put his name on the score sheet. Good vision though by Flynn. Good finish by O'Flaherty.
That's a fantastic pass by Flynn. Great punchy distance to the outside of the right foot. Really invited him on to finish it off, and he duly obliged. Lovely score from Morgan O'Flaherty with the kit hook.
Brendan McVeigh took over from Mickey McVeigh, no relation whatsoever, back in 2006. Now first choice keeper for all those seasons. Mark Poland lays it back. Down have certainly settled. Hugh McGrillen gets there ahead of John Clark. Emmett Bolton, Morgan O'Flaherty, Hugh Flynn ends up with Brian Flanagan. Nice combination play by Kildare. The diagonal ball is a quality one. James Kavanagh being held. And that's a free in for the Lily Whites.
Have a look at it closer here now. Danny McCartan said he was putting all the pressure on the ball, and that is the definitive type of tackle we have. The tackle on the ball. I thought he put a lot of pressure on it. A little bit unlucky. These are the small calls. He's got it this time. John Doyle's got it this time. Should score it.
Win or lose doing the sideline for his club. He gives it everything. All-star replacement back in 2008. Travelled to San Francisco. Won his only county championship with his club when he was outstanding back in 2004. Kicking this over the bar for his second point. You have to say, Kevin, that Kildare haven't panicked despite conceding.
That the goal was perhaps a soft one. It's going to remain this, I imagine, for all of the game.
Working hard in the middle of the field, Alan Smith. Hugh Flynn goes for a long ball as Kildare continue to play this two-man full forward line. Won this time by Daniel McCartan. Mark Poland, look how deep he's playing. He has 11 on his back. Nice little jink away from Alan Smith. Good control, confident on the ball. So too is Kevin McKernan. Marty Clark saw her adopt this strategy against Kerry in the quarter-final. Danny Hughes. Down controlling as Kildare backpedal and get everybody behind the ball. There's now only the goalkeeper, one defender, one forward inside the down half of the field. They're all up here. This effort by McComiskey is a poor one. And that ball is well wide. Kick out by Shane McCormick. Knocked down by Andrew McLaughlin. Come as far as Darrell Flynn. Long ball over as far as Pádraig O'Neill. Chasing after him is Declan Rooney. Still O'Neill. Gets inside the 13-metre line. Goes to ground. Brought down. Kevin will definitively decide.
That's 9 Leinster final. Leinster were very unhappy with some of the late frees he gave against them of the soft variety, but they're getting a few themselves today.
Here's James Kavanagh. And that ball is wide. That's a very poor miss. That was a relatively easy angled free for a man of his calibre.
13 miles, he's not a natural free taker. I'm not even sure how strong he is on his left foot, but that was an awful miss.
Darrell Flynn reasserts himself in the middle of the field. Nice ball from Eamon Callaghan in towards John Doyle. He can score from there. He's still the main man for the Lilywhites, and you can see why. His first from play, 3rd overall.
Yeah, brilliant again, edging ever closer now to the top scorer, I think, in the championship. As Brogan is just ahead of him, Bernard Brogan of Dublin. But Doyle doesn't miss those chances when he's running and has the nice angle. Lovely score.
And after conceding a goal, a debatable one in terms of was it a square ball or not, in the 12th minute, 10 minutes later, Kildare are back on level terms. Marty Clark in towards Benny Coulter. It was a good plan, but it just didn't quite work. Meanwhile, James Cavan, 4th year on the Kildare panel.
He overcarried.
Yep. Ball quickly taken far as Peter Fitzpatrick. Spills away from left half back Brian Flanagan. Marty Clark gathers quickly. Gets inside the initial challenge. That could well be a yellow card for Brian Flanagan for the challenge on Marty Clark. And Pat McEnany is in fact taking out his book. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be more than just a ticking off. There it is.
Yeah. And the problem there is Conor Garvey is really welded to Marty Clark, but he fell to his knees as the ball was incoming. And then, of course, Brian Flanagan had to take him up on the run-in.
Certainly looked like Brian Flanagan was the culprit in terms of fouling. We're not too sure who Pat McEnany gave the yellow card to, as the free is taken off the boot of Mark Poland. Just watch this again now. There's Marty Clark getting inside Emmett Bolton. Now comes the challenge from Flanagan, and it was Flanagan that clearly brought down the down corner forward. So yellow card for Brian Flanagan.
Yeah, that's correct. My apologies, Marty.
Picked up here by Calum King. Lays it off to Danny Hughes. Floating one in. Is it strong enough? It is. Danny Hughes from Saville. Didn't score against Kerry. He's already scored 12 points in the championship, and this could be quite valuable at the end of 70 minutes.
Yeah, Brian Flanagan is the man that's picking up Marty Clark. My apologies earlier on. Had one of his own men marking him. Not a clever idea.
I wasn't going to say anything, Kevin. Morgan O'Flaherty. Benny Coulter comes in with the challenge. Flaherty stands guard. Crossfield ball aimed at Mark Poland, but it carries an awful lot of pace. Kieran McGeaney and James McCarthy. Hugh Flynn knocks it down. There's a pull there by Danny Hughes, which was aimed for the ball, to be fair. And the free is for Kildare. It's given long up towards Johnny Doyle. Despite the sun in his eyes, he's still able to hold on to it. He's taken down, and there's another free for the Lilywhites.
Yeah, it's a great win by Doyle. The ball broke, he got his hands on it quickly, and I believe was fouled, and another opportunity.
At the moment, in terms of the overall championship, Bernard Brogan was leading John Doyle by 5 points going into this All-Ireland semi-final, following the 1-7 that Bernard scored last Sunday. John Doyle, this could well be his 4th. He'll now be within 1 point of Bernard Brogan for top scorer in the championship.
Well, he made that one himself, you have to say. The ball came in, he contested it strongly, it broke, he was first on to the break, then he was fouled, puts it down, kicks it over. Can't ask for much more.
Kick out by McVeigh. Mark Poland coming in to gather. Has to go back. And Poland again will try and engineer. Enter McLaughlin. Good vision by Poland. He's quite confident on the ball. Doesn't panic. Marty Clark drops it in towards brother John. Hugh McGrillen was anticipating that and got there first. Morgan O'Flaherty shows some nice ball control, but then gives the ball away to Marty Clark. Mark Poland again. Dropping this one in. Hugh Flynn has gone back to help out his defence. Out far is Brian Flanagan. In the centre, Morgan O'Flaherty. And Kildare control matters again, as they did for the first 10 minutes. And then Silly gives the ball away. Picked up by Danny Hughes. Marty Clark. Confident of scoring from way out the field. That is a brilliant point by Marty Clark. It's his first in the semi-final after 28.5 minutes.
Brilliant score. Bad turnover though from Kildare as they're bringing it out. Quickly brought back. And look at that for a lovely left foot. Absolutely spits the post. First score of the game. But he's been busy. Brian Flanagan is giving him a lot of attention, as I attempted to describe earlier on, but he still has that pace and power to make his own space.
Kick out by Shane McCormick. Drops down the middle again. Marty Clark. The overlap is provided by Kevin McKernan. Going straight through, lays it off. There's a chance of a goal! And they opt for the point. This was a real goal-scoring opportunity.
That is very undown-like, I'd have to say. McKernan knows it's a goal chance. That's why he's driving on to the next opponent. Lays it off very nicely. McComiskey is going to come in here now. Oh, this is a real goal chance, but fists it over, takes his point.
While we were looking at that replay, there's a change in the middle of the field for Kildare, with Ronan Sweeney coming on for Darrell Flynn. So a change in the middle of the pitch, as Kildare obviously acknowledged that they're beginning to have problems in that area with the dominance of Peter Fitzpatrick in particular and Calum King. Declan Rooney, Danny Hughes, Damien Rafferty, back to Hughes again. Benny Coulter on the turn, willing to run at Morgan O'Flaherty and leaves him for dead. Past the second challenge, makes an angle, scoreable from there. Normally, Hugh is okay. Made his first appearance for his county this season against Antrim in the qualifiers.
Down have padded out the lead pretty nicely as we just passed the half hour. Nice 3-point lead. Reflects the last 20 minutes.
Peter Fitzpatrick has battled hard and won an amount of ball in the middle of the field. Mark Poland goes for a long ball. Paul McCluskey was attempting to knock it down. Did eventually get to Marty Clark. Should be an easy ball for the goalkeeper. Shane McCormick deals with it. Making himself available is Morgan O'Flaherty, brother of corner forward in this Kildare team, wing forward Owen O'Flaherty. Here comes Peter Kelly, lays it off, fires Owen O'Flaherty, goes for a long ball, carries too much pace, Was John Doyle stopped in his effort to get possession? He looks to the referee. The referee says play on.
Yeah, 6 of one, half a dozen the other, I think you'll see. Pat McEnany wasn't having any of it, but the down lad is on the ground. And that is Conor Garvey. Yeah, the ball beats both of them. It's going wide. They're having a bit of a row on the 20-metre line. I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. I think the referee got that 100% right.
First kept taking their points, but it's built on a pretty strong midfield. Peter Fitzpatrick is doing very well in that area. The free is quickly taken for Kevin McKernan. Won an All-Ireland minor in 2005. Mark Poland. Danny Hughes taking on Emmett Bolton. Past the 13. Onto the left boot and over the bar. A lot of these down forwards can kick both left and right foot, and it certainly is an advantage. We've seen Danny Hughes score with the right. He made an angle here. Emmett Bolton had to let go, not foul him, and Hughes took advantage of the space.
Yeah, but this is all about pace, because he's able to step inside Bolton, and Bolton is afraid to put too much pressure because he's going to trip him or foul him. As you correctly mentioned, he has the 2 feet advantage, then he can go left or he can go right, which adds to the conundrum for the defender. And it's these busy little steps. He's, as I said, they're very fast on their feet, very dancey, moving the ball very quickly, and certainly threatening the goal all the time now.
Again, the middle of the field. This time it's running. Sweeney gets the loose ball. Down far is Alan Smith. In towards James Kavanagh. Kavanagh again. Hefty challenge by Calum King. Fair challenge, by the way, but it was a hefty one at the same time. Down towards Pádraig O'Neill. Good calling by Brian Flanagan. O'Neill is available to his right, but Flanagan was fouled. The referee wants to have a word with the down man as a result of this challenge.
He essentially pulls him down to the ground, and should be a yellow, I imagine. It is.
So right half back, Declan Rooney gets a yellow card. Only 2 yellow cards in this first half.
That's correct. Brian Flanagan for Kildare, and there Declan Rooney, as we've just spotted.
John Doyle, right hold battle with Conor Garvey. Marty Clark. The role he played against Kerry is working here as well. Danny Hughes. Benny Coulter comes deep to gather possession. Down towards Paul McComiskey as the down forwards interchange positions. The overlap provided by Benny Coulter. Had second thoughts about having a go from there. Maybe this time hits it with the right. Oh, it is beautiful. Goal and a point for Benny Coulter. He is a very special talent. From Mayo Bridge, wearing 13. And who wore 13 back in 91 and 94? His clubmate, Mickey Linden.
Mr. Linden, that's correct. This is fantastic. Lovely little pass inside when he wasn't 100% sure what he wanted to do, but when he gets it back, you see just here, gets a little ball back, and wow, what a shot from a really serious angle.
Well, Benny Coulter has contributed significantly in this first half. A goal after 12 minutes that will, I'm sure, be debated by our panel, but also a point that will be remembered by all and sundry that watched it on the Sunday Game Live and watched it live here in Croke Park. Kildare certainly had the better of the opening 12 minutes, but once Down got that goal, they also seemed to get a grip at centre field. And certainly at the moment, it's the Ulster boys in front by 5 points. Half-time score, Down 1-9, Kildare 7 points. Michael.
And thanks to Marty and Kevin for the moment. Back here in our Croke Park studio, we have Joe Bradley, Colin O'Rourke and Pat Spillane. It's we said at the start it was going to be tight and interesting. It's still that.
As we were discussing before, and Down have the more natural footballers, and you know, I was talking about their remarkable poise against Kerry, and you know, although the start was contrary to expectations, Kildare came out of the blocks quickly. They struggled a bit against Down's sort of screen defence, and they were kicking from distance. They kicked 2 or 3 wides, and Down have shown terrific poise and skill. A big difference between the two teams is that Down have pressurised Kildare coming out of their defence. So Kildare have been kicking the ball aimlessly away, and they're struggling very badly to get the ball out of their defence, just what Down did to Kerry. But also, Marty Clark as Down's playmaker has made a fundamental difference to the game. Kildare don't have anyone like that who's coming out and getting on the ball, controlling things. And generally Down's cheekiness and their all-round audacity in the forward line has made all the difference. I appreciate that, the goal was clearly a square ball, but nonetheless, since then, I mean, Down have just looked a far better Gaelic football team than Kildare. Now, we expect a high-octane effort from Kildare in the second half, but Down looked a better football team, and Kildare, interestingly, have no advantage in pace.
OK, we're going to take a short break for the reflection on that first half.
I'm
confused.
But he was backing in, and he was way in front. And like with referees doing umpires, like they immediately should have said to the referee, square ball, free out.
Because remember, Michael, after 12 minutes, Down had dominated the first 12, or Kildare had dominated the first 12 minutes. They were 3-1 up. They should have been about 6-1 up. And suddenly they left in the goal and they seemed demoralised, and Down popped in a load of points after that.
And also, Pat, you would have noticed Benny Coulter's very furtive glance over his shoulder, thinking to himself, he's not actually going to raise that flag, is he? And in fact, the umpire went straight for the flag. It was a bad call. I mean, he went absolutely bald-headed for it.
Bad mistake, Michael, and we're not using video evidence. We didn't need it.
He did. Now, in fairness, Pat McAneely did come to the two umpires and had a discussion with them afterward before the goal was allowed.
Yeah, well, I think the umpires erred badly. They should have advised the referee on it. I don't know what they were looking at. This wasn't a very contentious call. A one that was even sort of 50-50. It was a very clear free out. And after that, Down then banged on 3 points. So they came from a position where there were 2 points behind to 3 in front, and then they became to be composed and much more incisive after that.
Down are, when Down are in possession, they're much more dangerous than Kildare. Kildare have had more ball than Down, but it's all that high-octane running and moving the ball at the diagonal and often miss kicks and stuff like that. And they're clearly bigger than Down have 2 problems that I see at the moment. One, Benny Coulter's trying too hard in the forward line. He's just trying too hard to impress. He's already scored a goal on a point. The point was excellent, but he needs to relax a bit. The other problem they have is that Hugh McGillen is far too quick for John Clark. John Clark's one of these footballers. He's brilliant in the league. The problem is that Marty tries to find him all the time. Every single time when Marty has given it to John, Hugh McGillen's too quick. So it's cutting out. Down need to be. Down's credo here has got to be economy. They'll beat Kildare that way. Do the right things, pick the right options, they're going to win the game.
But the
if
difference,
they do that.
Michael, the difference, and I allude, Down in the first half, Down certainly have the more natural footballers, they certainly have the more natural forwards, and they have the pace to trouble that Kildare defence.
They also seem to have natural centre-backs when it comes to scoring as well, because after getting the break of the goal that you mentioned, then their centre-back McKernan comes up and scores 2 points.
That's the one thing about Down's attacks. Down counter-attack from deep, and they're all comfortable on the ball. And Kevin McKernan scored 2 points in that half, and it just goes to show how comfortable all of them are. And, this is 40 metres out, no hesitation.
Yeah, I think that Eamon Callaghan was marking at the time, and Eamon Callaghan scored the first point from play for Kildare, but then he got caught twice with McKernan coming up the field. Now, it's difficult to blame individual players because most teams nowadays you see Callaghan putting in a strike on Danny Hughes there, but he didn't stop him. But, in general now what teams are employing is so many extra defenders. But it's funny enough, Kildare, who seemed have perfected it in some of the games, have been caught very, very easily.
This is the best point of the game, and this is what Benny Coulter's all about.
It's the audacity of the pass.
Look, he just backswing, he had no momentum, no nothing at all. Cut across the ball right with a right foot. This is a class point from a class forward.
You'll notice from McKernan's 2 points, Pat, we were talking last week and you were right that Dublin's ultra-defensive system looks ugly and all of that. Down are doing that. Down's whole half-forward line is playing really deep. They're defending, but they're making it look pretty because they can score when they're breaking out of there. You see Danny Hughes gives it to Poland. That's in their own half-back line.
Kildare are having a problem insofar as Marty Clark is dictating the game, and Kildare have decided to put Brian Flanagan on him. Brian Flanagan is not as big or as strong and is not able to contest the possession. I think Kildare will need to make that change immediately to get back into this
And we've
game.
seen very few points of that kind of calibre from Kildare. Their forwards haven't got going. Now, John Doyle will always come up with a class point or two, but apart from that, there hasn't been too much in it.
The Kildare forwards got 2 points in play in the first half, which is a desperate return. It's because, in a way, a lot of it is quite predictable play. The 2-man full forward line. And I noticed today it's not McKiernan playing as a sweeper, it's Damien Rafferty who's playing as a sweeper. And they seem to be out of defence. Kildare have 2 problems out of defence. They're short passing and it's cost them 3 points. And secondly, when they're kicking it long, they're kicking it on many occasions to Damien Rafferty and kicking it poor.
But there are 2 things about that. The first thing is that Down forwards are putting their defenders under huge pressure, and we can see it beautifully here. So it's more laborious. It's given Down a chance to get into position in their blanket defence. And the other thing that Down are clearly doing is this. They're saying, OK, let their wing half backs come up the field and shoot. If we get beat by their wing half backs, scoring points well and good, but let's be all over the key forwards, and that's what they're doing. They're all over them like a rash, and you'll see Kildare are game enough. They're breaking up from the half back line, but they're not scoring.
Okay, we're headed for another break. Stay with us for more on this All-Ireland semi-final straight after that. Now, plus our big competition here on the Sunday game, because you might be...
Our favour. I think our half-back line's totally on top, and it took a wee bit of time for Callum to get the judging of the ball, but Callum and Peter are giving us a big sway in the middle of the field, and I suppose Danny Hughes and Kevin McKiernan especially are tormenting Kildare on the right-hand side.
The lads in studio were talking about Kildare's forwards not performing, but they haven't exactly got much of the ball to perform with.
No, there's certainly, unlike the other games that Kildare have played recently, where they were getting the ball very quickly into the full forward line, just seems to be choked at the moment. Down are certainly on top of the middle of the field. For the last 10-15 minutes of the first half, they've won all the breaks as well, so Kildare seem to be playing on the back foot a lot of the time.
If you look at the way Kildare are defending, they seem to be marking the space nearly rather than the players, and we see the likes of Marty Clark in particular seems to be having a field day as a result.
Well, I think that's been the trend over the last couple of games for them to do that, and it's worked well, but they're coming up against a down team now where a lot of footballers are out the field, they're natural footballers, they're good in the ball, they're holding on to it, and they've got the skills to do that, and they're releasing the ball then when the runs are made inside or when there is somebody available. So, Kildare are going to have to push further up the field maybe to try and turn over the ball and get the ball quicker into their forward line.
Do you think Down can continue this dominance around the middle in particular and in their half-back line into the second half?
Well, considering I think the injury to Dermot Early has proven a bigger miss to Kildare than the one to Ambrose is to Down, and unless they begin to break even in the middle of the field, the footballers that Down have had, as we've seen in the first half, are going to be comfortable keeping possession. The other thing is that Down have never had to chase the game, and in the games that they've been going well, they've been able to get that 10-minute burst before half-time, start the second half pretty well and hold out comfortably in the last couple of games. And I think that if they don't concede a major score in the first 10 minutes of the second half, I think we'll hold on.
Just very quickly, Glenn, before we go, you were very confident before the game. Are you still confident they can win, Kildare?
Well, you couldn't be as confident as what you were at the start, considering we're 5 points down. We're playing now at a midfield that certainly wouldn't be the first, possibly second choice that we have at the moment. I just think if we can break even in the middle of the field and pick up some breaks, there is still that threat up front, and if we can get that ball into the lads, whatever full forward line we have inside, I think they're certainly capable of taking on their men and getting the scores.
Okay, so hanging on to hope down here.
Oh, hanging on to a belief that they're going to be in the All-Ireland final. An attendance, by the way, of 62,182 on a lovely sunny afternoon now in Croke Park. I guess, Colin, in the second half, this game should loosen up a little bit, and if it does, what will happen then?
Well, if it loosens up, it'll suit Down, because they have very incisive forwards and they have played a beautifully controlled type of game. Now, I don't think Kildare will panic, because they seem to have this sort of mental strength that they're able to keep playing at the same pace, whether they're behind or in front. Now, this is the biggest task. They have been behind in games, but have had a lot of teams reeled in before half-time. Now, they're 5 points behind and they've struggled badly, and it's a big test for Kildare. But one thing for sure is Kildare won't lie down. They'll come out and give it everything. So it's going to be an intriguing second half. I wouldn't write Kildare off at all.
Well, not at all. They were down a lot of matches this summer and came back to win them with their second half performances. When I said this game might open up, Joe Bradley started shaking your head. You obviously can't see Kildare doing that.
Well, I can't see, there's no way Down will open the game. I mean, Down are going to play with their screen defence. They're going to play with their sweepers and their half forwards in there. They'll be delighted now to be 5 points up, and they'll continue to counter-attack in that way. And as the game goes on, it actually becomes more difficult to score, because as you tire yourself, to have two players around you and to have to look quickly and to move the ball quickly and to move the ball around that screen, Kildare's key forwards have been identified and are more or less being double marked. There's no way that Down will allow this game to loosen up. Kildare are going to have to attack them, so they're going to necessarily leave gaps behind. If I were Down at this stage, I would certainly be thinking about replacing John Clark, because I think that a lot of ball has come in there now and not much has happened with it. Down are in a terrific position now, and they should go on to win the game.
Down are back out on the field here. We're just having a look around us to see can we see any changes on that Down team. Pat, how do you call it for that second half?
Well, there's no doubt about it that Dermot Early has proved to be a huge loss. I mean, because they have lost that centre field battle, and Peter Fitzpatrick surprised me because he's played well in that first half. They've dominated centre field. The one thing we know about Kildare is Kildare are an exceptionally fit team. They're a second half team, but they will certainly have to at least, as Glenn Ryan said, they will at least have to break even in the middle of the field, and they will have to get the ball in quicker, longer, and a bit more variety. The two-man full forward line is a bit predictable, and like I said, the down screen and the down screen and the down sweeper is easily counteracted. So they're going to have to, for the first time ever, they're going to have to think on their feet. They're going to have to adapt and change their tactics a little bit in the second half if they're going to win it. Well, it's a big ask.
There's also a significant wind advantage here, I think, coming up for Kildare as well. And it was very obvious that Marty Clark and Benny Coulter were able to kick points from long range, which I don't think Kildare were able to do on the other side. So, you know, you have to take that into account as well. But Kildare have it all to do. Down can soak up the pressure, sit back and hit them on the counter-attack. And they have pace up there, like Danny Hughes' pace has been causing problems. Clark has been getting on a lot of ball. Kildare need to change things a bit.
They need one of those purple patches, and they're, you know, sometimes we've seen them kicking 7 or 8 points instead of 7 or 8 wides in the space of 6 or 7 minutes. But I mean, Down are in a terrific position now.
Yeah, like I said, the difference in the first half was pace.
Okay, let's head back to the commentary box to rejoin